As the end of 2023 approaches, the number of chip companies in China that have disappeared has reached 10,900, a growth of 89.7% compared to 5,746 in 2022. As of December 11, a total of 10,900 chip companies in China have been canceled or revoked by the Industrial and Commercial Bureau, averaging over 31 chip companies being canceled or revoked per day. In the past 5 years, the number of chip-related companies revoked or canceled in China has exceeded 22,000, a trend that is truly worrisome. Recently, following TCL's Magic Semiconductor, Fosun Group's automotive chip company, Richwave Microelectronics, which completed 3 rounds of billion-level financing, has also reported news of dissolution. Even the compensation owed, adding 1 to N, has to be staggered until the second quarter of next year for payment. There have also been reports of the dissolution of the discount under Oppo, making people wonder why domestic chip companies are so fragile. The disappearance of over 10,000 chip companies reflects the harsh survival conditions for chip enterprises in China. Data from Oriental Fortune Choice shows that, as of November 1st, 151 semiconductor-listed companies have disclosed their third-quarter reports for 2023, with a total operating revenue of approximately 352.3 billion RMB, almost flat compared to the same period last year. The total net profit attributable to the parent company is approximately 19.3 billion RMB, a decrease of about 54% compared to the same period last year. Among the 151 listed semiconductor companies, 111 semiconductor companies have seen a year-on-year decline in net profit attributable to the parent company, accounting for about 74% of the total. Among them, AI chip design company Cambricon, which released its third-quarter financial report in October, reported operating income of 31.34 million RMB, a year-on-year decrease of 66.15%, and a net loss attributable to shareholders of the listed company of 2.63 billion RMB. From January to September 2023, Cambricon's revenue was 146 million RMB, a year-on-year decrease of 44.84%, and a net loss attributable to the parent company of 808 million RMB. According to data shared by Wei Xiaojun, a professor at Tsinghua University and chairman of the Integrated Circuit Design Branch of the China Semiconductor Industry Association at ICCAD 2023, there will be a total of 3243 chip design enterprises in China in 2023, of which 1910 enterprises will have sales revenue of less than 10 million RMB, accounting for 55% of Chinese chip design companies with revenue less than 10 million RMB. Wei Xiaojun predicts that in 2023, most Chinese chip design companies will experience widespread losses. A severe inventory backlog, industry oversupply, and the current risk of impairment of some inventory are inevitable consequences. As time passes, the competitiveness of stored products gradually diminishes, leading to inevitable losses. Titanium Media's data only counts companies with the keywords chip in their names, business scope, and product names, and the year-on-year growth caliber comes from enterprise searches. What are the pros and cons of this wave of bankruptcy and restructuring in the chip industry? What should be the future development path of domestic chip companies in China? What does the number 10,900 mean? On average, 30 chip companies disappear every day. In the past 5 years, the total number of chip companies closed or revoked domestically has exceeded 22,000, averaging 4,400 per year. This year, the closure of chip companies is exceptionally high. Even world-renowned companies like Oppo have had to halt their chip business, carrying out a comprehensive restructuring of their chip subsidiary, Discount. Why is this happening? It's well known that starting a chip business is not easy, especially with the ongoing technical blockade from the United States, making the catch-up and breakthroughs of domestic chips even more challenging. Firstly, the impact of the broader environment should be considered. In recent years, the global economic downturn, sluggish market demand, geopolitical conflicts, and other factors have led the semiconductor industry through drastic changes and cyclical declines. This not only reshapes the global market landscape, but also makes internal adjustments and restructuring within the chip industry an inevitable path. Another factor is the decline in consumer electronics demand. Since the advent of the first-generation iPhone in 2008, the smartphone market has experienced 15 years of ups and downs. Now, this market is nearing saturation, and the replacement cycle for new phones is gradually lengthening. While your phone is still working fine, major manufacturers are busy releasing new models. The problem is that these new models don't have any particularly novel features. They are just the same upgrades repeated over and over again. Consumers have no choice but to dig into their pockets and pay up. Even 5G technology, which was once a selling point, is now commonplace, as nearly everyone has a 5G phone. Market reactions confirm this trend, with a nearly 20% drop in smartphone shipments in the first quarter of 2023 and a further 6.6% decline in the second quarter. Although the release of the Huawei Mate 60 and Apple iPhone 15 in the third quarter slightly reversed the situation, it was only a drop in the bucket. Research firm IDC predicts that global smartphone shipments will reach 1.19 billion units in 2023, a year-on-year decrease of 1.1%. Some organizations even project a decline of up to 1.9%. The downturn in smartphone sales has, surprisingly, brought joy to computer manufacturers. They seem to be saying, if my business isn't doing well, that's okay, as long as you don't expect to fare any better. Cambricon and TSMC's struggle, the challenging landscape of AI chip design. In the first quarter of 2023, PC shipments were 53.97 million units, down 32.62% year-on-year, with a quarterly decline of 11.53% and a monthly decline of 6.7%. While the decline rate is slowing, it seems that the market turning point has not truly arrived, and the downturn in both the smartphone and computer markets naturally affects the chip manufacturing industry. TSMC, as the leader in the foundry industry, reported total revenue of $63 billion in the first 11 months of this year. In the semiconductor manufacturing industry, a 4.1% year-on-year decline may be considered a decent performance. However, TSMC's president Wei Zhejia recently stated that inflation and rising costs in 2023 have made business operations difficult. Regarding the 2024 market, he mentioned significant uncertainty. Despite the new opportunities brought by the development of AI technology, when executives start discussing uncertainty, it almost equals declaring the industry's challenges. As an AI chip design company, Cambricon's operational condition in Q3 of this year is indeed very difficult, with revenue only at $31.34 million, a 66% year-on-year decline, and a net loss of as much as $260 million. Adding the losses from the previous 2 quarters, the total reaches over $800 million. In this industry, apart from giants like NVIDIA, the situation is challenging for many companies. This market dynamic has profound implications for the overall development of the industry. In the semiconductor industry, the reduction in prices by foundry manufacturers is not too significant, especially when you compare it to the price reduction situation in memory chips, which is truly shocking. Take portable hard drives as an example. The price of a 1 TB portable hard drive used to be between 1,500 to 2,000 yuan, but now it has dropped to 200 to 400 yuan, a staggering 90% reduction. Looking at memory modules, a 16 GB DDR4 memory module that used to be priced at around 500 yuan now only costs a little over 100 yuan, with a reduction of 80%. The intensity of these price reductions is challenging even for the toughest players. The operational pressure on supporting companies in the materials, equipment, and component sectors throughout the entire industry chain can be imagined. Especially for smaller-scale enterprises facing such fierce market competition, they simply cannot survive and ultimately have to choose to shut down. Another significant reason is the pressure and restrictions from Western countries on Chinese companies. In just 4 years, the United States has added over 600 Chinese companies to its entity list. If we consider the situation for all years, the number of Chinese companies added to the entity list may exceed 2,000. These measures have posed significant challenges to Chinese enterprises, especially those in the semiconductor industry. These actions not only limit their market development, but also severely impact technological innovation and industry chain cooperation. In such a challenging external environment, it is undoubtedly a tremendous challenge for the Chinese semiconductor industry. Many high-tech companies, especially those in chip technology, artificial intelligence, digital technology, and next-generation communication technology, are included in the entity list. Huawei's experience is indeed a typical case. Hitting hard, the impact of U.S. restrictions on China's semiconductor industry. Since being added to the U.S. entity list, Xi'an, Huawei's semiconductor subsidiary, has lost its contract manufacturing qualification. The meticulously designed chips could not progress to the production stage and remained confined to the design room. This dealt a significant blow to Huawei's smartphone business, leading to a substantial decline in the company's revenue and net profit. To cope with this crisis, Huawei had to make difficult decisions, including selling the Honor brand and issuing a large number of bonds. Despite facing immense pressure, Huawei continues to invest over 100 billion RMB annually in research and development. Besides, the U.S. has imposed strict restrictions on the export of semiconductor equipment to China, including equipment for manufacturing logic chips of 14 nanometers or below and devices for 128-layer storage chips. These restrictions have affected leading Chinese storage chip companies like Yangtze Memory, forcing them to reduce production and delay technological iterations. SMIC, lacking photolithography machines, had to halt its process at 14 nanometers. Even such a leading company faced difficulties, not to mention others. For example, Oppo's sub-brand, Realme, was even suddenly disbanded despite its capabilities in research, development, and SoC design, including plans for a 3-nanometer level SoC slated for production next year. Therefore, the U.S. suppression and restrictions have had a significant impact on China's semiconductor industry. Many lesser-known chip companies ultimately chose to deregister and revoke their licenses, exiting the chip industry. All this reflects the severe challenges currently faced by China's chip industry. This leads to the issue of positioning. Zhu Jing, the Deputy Secretary General of the Beijing Semiconductor Industry Association, recently shared some characteristics of these newly established enterprises that suddenly disbanded, backed by big factories. They tend to accumulate momentum for development. Semiconductor equipment dilemma, addressing China's key gap in chip industry. The core team is assembled with non-organizational, non-cohesive high salaries and lacks a sense of mission, making them prone to factionalism. They all rely on a financial backer for blood transfusions, whether it's for resources, orders, or direct money. Once the support stops, they disband. They are also not subject to acquisition, being companies incubated by large enterprises. Dissolution is the simplest, rudest, and most direct approach. They have not survived a full business cycle. In the semiconductor industry, a cycle lasts 3 to 4 years, and these companies were established within 4 years, with the shortest not exceeding 2 years. They are born in comfort but die in distress. From a deeper perspective, the main reason these chip manufacturers find it challenging to sustain is not internal consumption and a prevalent laid-back mindset, but their positioning. Taking TCL's subsidiary Mochip as an example, its product direction involves intelligent sensing, interaction, AI image processing, intelligent connectivity, and a new display driver IC design. A startup team should concentrate its efforts to achieve a breakthrough quickly and open up the situation, but the result of attacking on all fronts can only be ambushed. Internal and external mergers and acquisitions in the chip industry are indeed one of the important factors leading to the reduction in the number of chip companies. However, currently, apart from significant market demand, China seems to have limited advantages in the chip field, which is indeed awkward. It is predicted that the majority of Chinese chip design companies will continue experiencing widespread losses in 2024, driven by severe inventory backlog, industry oversupply, and risks associated with impaired inventory. The oversaturation of markets, geopolitical conflicts, and global economic downturns contribute to the hardships faced by the semiconductor industry, pushing many companies to close or restructure.